Indianapolis, the racing capital of the world. Since 1909, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway has been the undisputed pinnacle of the racing world. This is the place where legends are made and hearts are broken. This is the one race everyone wants to win. For the first time in its 54-year history, the SCCA National Championship Runoffs travels to Indianapolis. With nearly 1,000 entries in 28 different classes, the Runoffs is the biggest auto race in the world. It features the best amateur drivers in the country vying for the title of National Champion. One legendary track, one epic race, one shot at glory. The SCCA Runoffs starts now. To borrow a line from Monty Python's Flying Circus, and now for something completely different. And folks, this class is one of my absolute favorites, but it is as different as it gets. There you have a look at the field for a class called Formula 500. And it utilizes two different power plants. There's a 500cc engine, Jeff. That's basically akin to a snowmobile engine, which means they have a very different drive plane to them, doesn't it?
It does. It's a centrifugal clutch, which is there's no shifting. You just put your foot down, it engages itself and pulls. And you saw the number 60 there getting pull started like a snowmobile motor or a lawnmower there. And then you have the 600cc's now that are a little bit more restricted, but that's a traditional motorcycle engine with a sequential shifter that you can shift these cars out. And I remember back in the days when you had the old F440 engine cars, so 440cc. So, and it's one of those, you got the arrows, the diffuser on these. Most of the chassis are home built. We've seen some Invader carts, different chassis there, the Nova cars, and of course you talk about Novak with the Nova car, a lot of different chassis, and you know, to where now there's shops building these chassis and manufacturers doing it.
Well, a big one over the years has been KBS with theirs, Red Devil as well. It is a serious class. We have 38 of these machines ready to go here. And this, as I said, this one's going to be fun. Now, these cars with that very short wheelbase and the relatively small tires, they're grippy for the size of the car, but this long straightaway, short wheelbase generally doesn't mean particularly stable. They're going to be amazing on the infield, but interesting on this straight. It's going to be fun to watch, and I've been looking forward to this one all weekend long. Joining me, of course, is Jeff Lepper. I'm Greg Creamer. Haywood Wagner down in pit lane, and these machines are getting ready to go. You have a look there at the 07 of Calvin Stewart. He, a former national champion a couple of years ago, and this is the track they're going to have to deal with, Jeff, as our track map is presented by Mazda.
Well, you talk about the instability of these cars and the little teeny tiny wheels and tires and wheelbase these cars have. Going down this long front straightaway into turn number 1, there's a hard bump in the transition there. We'll see how they handle that with the arrow and the downforce and the low ride height through turn number 2. Tight left-hander into a sweeper in 3, hard on the brakes in 4, and you want to let it get out as quick as you can for the kink in 5, and that triple, sometimes quadruple apex turn 6 and 6A complex onto Holman Boulevard into turn number 7. In these Formula 500 cars, you should be flat out through the S's, turn 8, 9, 10, and then on to the oval portion in the oval turn number 2, a very hard bump in transition. We'll see a lot of these F500 cars taking that transition later on as they enter down into turn number 12. It gets less drastic of a change the later you go. Turn 13, a hard left, onto turn 14, and back down the straightaway to complete a lap here, presented by Mazda.
Absolutely, 3,700 feet down this front straight, and with the ride heights on these cars, you're not going to see them pounding curbs like you've seen other cars. These are a challenge to drive, Hayward, and I think that's one of the attractions of this class.
80 inches, guys. That's the wheelbase of these things. 80 inches. There's cars here that have more width than these cars have between the wheels. Take that, add a live rear axle. Whether it's the motorcycle engine or the snowmobile engine, it's chain drive to a live rear axle, and then you take all of that, and the suspension on these cars is basically a series of rubber pucks. There's no springs, there's no shocks. When that's working well, these things are blazing fast. It's one of the fastest Formula classes. It's now faster than F. It's approaching the speeds of some of the winged Formula cars. When that's not going well, these cars are a nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that you'll see with that very short wheelbase, if they spin so fast like a top, and then they stop and drive off. It's a very unique class, and they have produced some absolutely phenomenal racing. And one of the reasons is we've seen some of these other classes with some of the bigger cars, Jeff, 6 abreast down this front straight. It's probably could do 10 of these. I mean, it's going to be that furious.
Yeah, it will, and they're so closely matched, too. The times are really close in the qualifying order as well. You know, 1:43.1 was the pole, and most of that did that in the cool, but you got to go all the way back to about 10th or 12th before you start getting back in the 45s, 46 second range. So we'll see a lot of battles all throughout this course and seeing how this plays out here today. And you see the different layouts here, and you can see the exhaust up on top, the little tuned pipes. They do that for more torque, depending on how you want your pipe tuned in your engine. You look for every little advantage you can get.
And this has also proven to be a fairly decent launching pad for drivers to move on to greater things in the pro ranks because of the challenges of driving these cars. Andy Lally got his start driving a Formula 500 car, and Patrick Gallagher, who of course went on last year, won the 2016 Global MX5 Cup and got that great award in 2010. Was able to, or excuse me, the 2017 award for Gallagher, won this in 2010. So it is a platform that offers some great challenges. And the guy that is on pole in that sort of hot pink, if you will, number 34, that's the Environmental Protection Agency Scorpion S1 Suzuki powered machine, is Wiley Clinton McMahon. And yes, his name is Wiley. However, he's that kind of a driver too. He is wily, he is cagey, he knows how to get it done. This was his second pole at the runoffs, and he's had 2 seconds over the years. He is chasing gold, he wants it badly. The guy that qualified right up alongside the defending champion Stephen Thompson in that TR Fabricating Hoosier, and that is a TR1 Stinger Rotex powered entry from TNR Fabricating. The driver who sat on the pole last year and ended up 9th after a surprise spin, a former champion. That is Calvin Stewart in that white 07. Could only muster a 7th place qualifying effort. He's got Barry Luterik, Jeff Jorgensen, who's making his 11th start in the, or the 12th start in the runoffs. Michael Mueller, who's a 2-time national champion in this category. Thomas Deem, who was 3rd last year at Mid-Ohio, all in front. It's going to be an amazing race.
Yeah, it really is. And you see the battle that we'll see here. Not only a chassis manufacturer, the engine manufacturers are all going to want to battle. Most of these cars running that Hoosier slick on this, so I don't think we'll see too much of a tire battle going on. But also longevity. Can these cars go for that full 40 minutes over these harsh transitions? The track is very smooth, but with that low ride height and this little nimble platform, it's going to be a battle for all these drivers along. 19 laps or 40 minutes.
Yeah, this is going to be fascinating. And have we lost the 34, McMahon? I don't see him there.
Yeah, not sure what happened there.
He pulled out. There he is. I wonder if he's having some problem, or in the aggressive tire scrubbing and warming, if he had a spin, you cannot regain your spot. I didn't see it, Jeff, but unbelievable start for pole sitter Wiley Clint McMahon. Unbelievable development here. So last year's champion Stephen Thompson will pretty much pick up that pole spot. I was going to mention second place last year, Brian Brothers starts in 8th alongside of Calvin Stewart. And then how deep is this field? In the 5th row, 9th and 10th, 2 former national champions. In the 3 of Aaron Ellis, and the 22 of James Whita. This is a stacked field. And boy, it's going to be interesting to see now what Clint, he goes by Clint McMahon, so that's what we're going to call him here, can do. But boy, going after 2 seconds over his career in this class to want to be able to finally get that gold and to have that happen, a problem on the pace lap, Jeff, that's got to be gutting.
It is, and you make that mistake yourself, and then you got nobody to blame but yourself when that happens. These cars starting to come back around and get the green here as you line up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here. And just the way things shuffled, it's interesting. It's just this, that inside row is just moved up. So basically, assuming pole is Barry Luterek in that orange number 127. But here we go, coming up to the green, 19 laps of racing, about to unfold, Formula 500 at the runoffs, and there it goes, Jeff, that massive fan out. And these cars, they can find a place to run. Way down to the inside comes McMahon, down in the dirt and the marbles and the like. He's got to be careful when he gets down to the turn. He's inside of Calvin Stewart, deep on the brakes for McMahon. And Thompson, your defending champ, runs wide.
Yeah, and you get these cars into the dirt, they bing up those diffusers. You don't want to mess those things up, but the aero is so important here with these little cars going down the straightaway. But Cal Stewart gets a great run into 3rd place there. Won at Daytona in the runoffs in that, and actually earning the Mark Donahue Award from Road Racing Drivers Club for what he did there at Daytona Speedway.
But coming from even farther back than Stewart, McMahon into 2nd by the time they exit turn 2. What a rebound on the start. Having the opportunity to have that inside line has paid up nicely for Barry Luterek.
Well,
oh,
big
spin in the
there.
background, but way out of every. That's what I talk about. See how quick that snapped and then settled again. So they should be able to get going without a big issue here, but it was your second qualifier. Stephen Thompson has been buried, Jeff, back in 5th.
That's the number 63, I believe, that spun back around there. He'll be back underway. No harm, no foul there with contact. But look at the battling here, as you can see. And with the arrow that these 500 cars make as well, you can see how quickly they can change direction. You could be mid-corner and snap around somebody just because of the grip that these tires have, as well as the arrow these cars perform.
Another great start by
big time on the brakes. Lock up there for the 37.
Huge,
Thompson down to the inside.
And Aaron Ellis, that's who he's racing right there in that number 3. That is the Suzuki powered, and it's a chassis called the Ellis Motorsports AE13. You can see some aero work on that. And Ellis, also a former champion who made a great launch, didn't get the qualifying he wanted, as we mentioned, starting in 9th. And he's up now, duking it out and just taking that 4th spot away from Thompson.
And you can see Stewart getting the draft over McMahon. He dropped a couple wheels off coming on there. Locks it up, slides it down into the corner. Beautiful job of driving there into turn 1 and retaining that second position.
Did Clint just back that into turn 1, as they say, for motorcycle racing? That was incredible. Thompson knifes back down underneath Ellis and picks up that 4th spot. And one thing we know about Calvin Stewart's car, you saw what he did at the runoffs in 2015 up in the banking. That car in a straight line is slick.
It really is. It really goes. In that Nova car chassis, they worked a lot on the aero, especially at Daytona, getting the rear wing lower. And you come here to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I think a lot of these drivers and chassis start looking at this, and you can kind of see where those wings now are all lowered. They learned all from Cal Stewart there at Daytona.
Look at this. Change for the lead as Clint McMAHAN just dove to the apex into turn 7. And Jeff, you talked about how for these cars, that what is normally a little tighter corner for some of the bigger cars here, turn 7, you can just roll ridiculous speed through there. And Clint turned in early, made it stick, and he has now taken the lead away from LUTEREK.
We're talking about that Nova car chassis. They actually use that fluid dynamic, the carbon flow,
yep.
And to see that for the aero on that car. So it tells you the development, even on the Formula 500 level, some of the technology here, all the way down to SCCA Club Racing.
CFD, LUTEREK backing that tire off. That normally would have given, I think, a good run for Thompson, but he had to check up so he didn't get into the back of him. But yeah, when you're using CFD to design bodies at this level, that tells you how serious these folks are about that. And tell you, Stewart, that car is definitely quick in a straight line, but when you trim it out, even at this level of car here, you don't have massive wings on these cars. Ooh, big lockup for Thompson. But if you get rid of all the aero to make it slippery in a straight line, which 3,700 foot straight, you think good idea. But obviously he's struggling on the infield.
Yeah, you got these 90-degree corners and these hard sweepers where you want that downforce to pin that car down. One of those is that kink right here in turn number 5. You're flat out through there. There's no lifting there. And if you lift, you're going to get hung up as you come down to turn number 6. You want all the mechanical and aero grip you can get through this double, sometimes triple apex corner that tightens up here on the exit and get back to the left to get back onto the straightaway here at Holman Boulevard.
Yeah, and Stewart right now being hounded by the 84 Michael Mueller out of Waukesha, Wisconsin, runs out of the Milwaukee region, 2-time national champ. Last one coming for him at 2012 at Road America. So Stewart, you can see he's protecting a little bit, easing over to dissuade anything. But of course that now makes him, as he turns into 7, floats a little wider at the exit. Mueller got a great run, looks to the inside, and Calvin realized it and just turned in.
Yeah, sort of blocked his momentum there a little bit, had to check up, and that'll give a little bit of breathing room to Calvin as he's coming down here into that braking zone at turn number 12. Hard on the brakes, gets that turning, manages that bump as your 3 leaders right here. Thompson starting to close the gap a little bit up to LUTEREK.
And the engine notes with these 2 different types of power plant are just fascinating to listen to. You hear that high revving motorcycle engine actually shifting using a sequential transmission, and the 500cc 2-stroke power plants that just spool up and stay up and into the braking zones. You'll actually hear the drivers continuing to blip the throttle to keep that clutch engaged for the exit of the turn. This produces a wild mix of sounds.
Got a chance to read through some of the regulations looking out here, and they actually, on the 600cc engines, they limit those down to 11,000 horsepower. The 500cc engines, no limit on the RPM. Sorry, not horsepower. Wow, we're going to the moon with that much power.
Yes, you
but,
are.
But RPM, sorry, the 11,000 horsepower limit, 1,100 RPM limit, and the 500s with no limit on the RPM. So you can hear that whine.
Yep, it makes a big, big difference. And we know these 600cc bike engines, some of the other classes can run up to, what, 18, 19? So it makes a big difference. Just saw a nice move just a couple of corners ago by the 17, diving down the inside of two-time champ Mueller. So Sven de Vries out of Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and running the satellite racing Nova car with the Suzuki power plant in that 17, making his moves, coming up through the pack here just a little bit, and that gives you an idea of the draw of National Runoffs competition for the Sports Car Club of America. You get a national entry, sure, but you also get international interest in Sven coming all the way from Amsterdam. I wonder what region he runs.
Is that the, I was going to say, I know, the ice frozen region? I think he gets the longest travel award then if he comes all the way from the Netherlands.
You would think so, yeah. And he's having a great run. He's got around, as I said, a two-time national champion. He's going after Calvin Stewart, who is the champion in 2015. Now that things have calmed a little bit, let's check in to pit lane. Hayward, what's up?
Guys, there's a lot of different ways to get into racing, but Sven is doing a very unique path. Matt with his team, Satellite Racing. Matt, tell us how you guys got Sven on the team.
Sven's been driving for us since about 2013. He's been driving online for us in online sim racing. And I can see the talent. I know the level of talent just online that it takes to be up front. And he was there every week. So I was trying to get him in. I needed to give him the opportunity to get in a real car, so the best bet was just put him in one of ours.
So from the computer to the racetrack, now at the runoffs.
And not just at the runoffs, competitive at the runoffs. He just got down inside another national champion. Sven de Vries now has picked up the 4th spot and got Stewart so offline in his pass. Stewart locked it up, trying to stay with him. Tell you what, I'm impressed here by Mr. de Vries.
Yeah, not bad. And you think about that sim racing versus real racing, and everybody talked about how it was so stupid and never going to work. And then Nissan backed the GT Academy with PlayStation, brought up Lucas Ordonez as one of the original winners who ended up going on to win Le Mans. So these sim racers, they know how to get it done. And Sven proving that that's a good platform to start in racing if you wanted to move up into real cars.
Absolutely, bit of a problem here for the number 73. Apparently, something
Vincent
let go for Vincent, and he is parked. And yeah, I mean, not every sim racer that's good makes the transition, because it is a bit different having your butt in that seat as you whistle into a corner at $150 or whatever in whatever car you're running. But those that do make that transition are exceptionally good. Jan Mardenborough is running now in formula racing at the near top levels over in Japan and Europe. Another guy who's come up and through. We've seen Brian Heitkotter, guys like that. A lot of success from the sim ranks. Just another path to get into racing. And it's really cool when you have somebody like the guys from Satellite Racing that said, well, you know, we've been racing with him on the sim. He's good. Let's help him out. And it made that happen. And battle behind Sven right now is Mueller again attacking on Stewart.
Yeah, Aaron Ellis, I believe that's the number 3.
Oh, yep, sure is.
Yeah, so Ellis actually getting up on to Calvin, working that draft down the straightaway here, and it seems like Calvin's car just does not quite look happy compared to where it was before. I think if it's gone away, or he had a couple of times where he's locked the brakes up there, but you know, still a little cooler down here. If you're thinking it's going to be hotter like it was during the week, you make all your adjustments, you come into a cool day today. We're still upper 50s. Don't think we've eclipsed the 60 degree mark yet. So it's 68, sorry, yeah, so we're 68 degrees here, and it was in the 90s during qualifying. So if you adjusted your car for the heat, nice cold temperatures here today.
Yeah, and Ellis is on the move. He'd gotten around Mueller. I didn't see the pass, kind of caught me out. But just looking at speeds right now, Aaron Ellis, he has a 144 mile an hour top end down into turn 1. That is comfortably quicker than anybody else out there. The only other guy who's turned a lap or at top speed in the 140 mile an hour range at 140.2 is Derek LUTEREK.
Yeah, and it is
Barry
hard.
LUTEREK, excuse
Barry
me.
LUTEREK, yeah. It is hard to get tire temperatures in these. You see how wide those slicks are. I mean, they're bigger than a Formula V car, and these cars only weigh 850 pounds. So you saw with Wiley getting the wheels back and forth and actually having that issue there on the start. Wow, look, Ellis got a little hung up there, and Mueller trying to see if he can battle now.
Yeah, but this is where Aaron's car is working incredibly well. Like I said, up by 4 miles an hour over anybody else in a straight line. And he dropped off of Stewart because of that little bobble, and look at him just claw that back. And we know Stewart's car pretty good in a straight line, running 139.5 miles an hour. But when you're up by 5, you close in like that.
And it's weird to see Michael Mueller's car, one of those few that's not running a rear wing or a rear diffuser at all. And I saw that since the beginning, so it wasn't like it got knocked off in the race. So looking at a different aero package and the different tunnels that he's using on his car.
And that's one of the Red Devils that has been one of the top marks in terms of chassis for a while. He's giving it a good run, but you're right. He wants the air to close up. He's got that little diffuser at the back, but he wants the air at the back of that car to close up. That's probably because he'd rather not have anybody drafting off him.
That really is a good strategy to play out here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Stewart still full defense mode, but how about WILEY McMahon just running it down?
Oh man, just a great run up to by 2.2 seconds last time by start finish over LUTEREK, who's got another 2 seconds in hand over defending champion Stephen Thompson. And watching though on the laps here as we watch Clint duck down into that very, very tricky turn number 12. The last lap, LUTEREK ran a little bit quicker by about a half a second, and that's why that margin came down just a smidge. LUTEREK giving it a run, and Thompson not quite able to match that pace. LUTEREK looking pretty strong right now.
Yeah, we'll see if that gap closes anytime this time by. It was 2.2 during the previous lap, and it looks like it is exactly the same, 2.2 seconds this time by for LUTEREK, as they made almost identical lap times down to the 1,000th of a second. A 1:44.456 for WILEY and a 1:44.455 for LUTEREK.
That's unbelievable how close they're running. Look at that. 37 of Thompson just rotating that car beautifully through turn 4. And you just peg it all the way through that little kink. Working the way, a little bit of smoke emanating from the back of the 08 of Chris Hod out of McKinney, Texas, and the Texas region. Pro Some Ventures Invader, another of the chassis that's been such a stalwart in the championship. But the KBS, the Invader, and to a degree, even the Red Devil, they just don't quite have that level of aerodynamic on the car. And so not always really as strong at some of these races, especially one where you need to be able to have that aero really working for you here. Starting to catch some traffic now, and this is when with these cars it can get just a little dicey here. Everybody giving each other a fairly wide berth at this point. Just went by John Pickle, the 198 out of Fort St. Georgia, Atlanta region, in the Favor Developments, and Pickle Timber Nova car. Thompson did. And back up onto the speedway here, onto that front straight. There is your top 4, top 5 when you count DeVries right there, top 4 when you count DeVries in the background. And then there is your 5th place car, the white 07 of Stewart. But Sven DeVries doing an absolutely superb job running one of the 600cc power plants with the shifting capability. And look at the diffuser on the back of that car. It's almost like a low double element wing, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And you kind of manage that air. You get the center tunnels, so you create a tunnel, a double wing, and a diffuser all in the back. It's really great to see the different forms of engineering that goes into all these cars. And a lot of it, you know, some do the CFD, some just, hey, let's see if this works and go run it.
And you're not allowed to run big wings or dive planes on these cars, so if you start to get really, really stout grip at the back, not a lot you can do at the front. So that's where a lot of, I think that CFD comes in, is getting the balance of these cars right.
Yeah, you want to be able to, especially with that small 80-inch wheelbase.
Yeah.
Balance is more important in this category than anyone you'll see racing in the 24 championship races this weekend.
Mueller just going out of frame. Again, working some lap traffic here. There's the 198 once again. John Pickle didn't exactly get the qualifying run he wanted. It just sounds like he's not able to pick the throttle up very well in that machine. And that's one of the things, these are tricky to tune as well and to really make work. And if it's off by just a little bit, again, because of the power of these machines. It's a little bit of a struggle sometimes if you're not really clicking in terms of having those motors turn. Clicking it away up at the front is WILEY McMahan in the number 34. That margin had dipped to about 1.6 last time through. He's brought it right back up to 2.3 seconds, having a good run. Will he finally get his first ever gold at the runoffs? We'll find out when we come back to Indianapolis. Coverage of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs is presented by Mazda. Driving matters.
Can you feel something without touching it? See something with your eyes closed. When everything is designed around you, the driver, you can. The Mazda 3.
Every stitch is a part of me. All these shapes and designs express our devotion to craftsmanship. I want people to feel our passion when they touch it and when they drive it.
The all-new Mazda CX-5.
Welcome back, everybody. There is your leader here in the run for the gold for a great little class, Formula 500. I've always enjoyed this class. When I first started announcing the runoffs, I didn't want to say how far back it was at Road Atlanta when they were there for so many years. Thank you so much.
That knife for you, buddy.
Knife will come out later
for you.
This was a class that was hugely popular then, and they put on some absolutely amazing racing. And I'd go in and work corners for a few days, and just being near the track when these cars would come whistling through, and I mean whistling through, was just always a lot of fun. And it has continued to be ultra competitive and great fun. Talk about fun with cars. It's hard to have more fun than you do running in one of these machines. And right there, Barry LUTEREK having a solid run in second, able to keep Thompson at bay, although you can see now that Steve is starting to close it up just a little bit. He was about 2.5 seconds back, and that's down to within a second last time by, and Vries is coming with them. And what that tells you, it might be a problem here, is LUTEREK losing a little bit of pace, and he is relative to those other guys.
Yeah, you can see it's starting to close in. There's about a 4-car width gap evenly from second, third to fourth. So the battle for the podium is not over. Halfway through this race now with 9 to go. It'll be 8 as they come back by. And a lot of tire on these cars, but you still can't abuse them and heat up those tires and start getting loose. And I see a lot of, like, I think LUTEREK's kind of going like that. Thompson keeps, I think he's flat spotted one of his tires because you keep seeing him lock up that tire when he unloads that right front.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, he's pushing awfully hard now. There it is again.
Lock up again.
In his pursuit here. That time the left, oh, look at that, a little bit of a slide. He is throwing this car around, but he's got some speed here. That killed his momentum just a little bit. But LUTEREK now is under immense pressure, and you can see he's already trying to bob and weave, and that's all in trying to break the toe, because these cars are so effective when you can get up and draft on somebody, and that happened right in front of Hayward down in pit lane.
Guys, I'm here with Jeff Jacobs. Jeff, you were at the SCCA Solo Nationals this year as one of the chief stewards. Now, this event, 1,327 drivers, but that also means 1,327 workers. What's that community like?
It's such a great team effort, both on the worker side and then on the competitor side. You see people working together, not only to keep the course running, to keep things running on time, but then also helping out the other drivers in their class.
Now, this year was a good year for you. Competition is typically tight, but you managed to pull a trophy out, didn't you?
Well, we wanted a challenge running that Corvette in the SSR class to run against the best, and we certainly got it this year. Really excited to grab that last trophy position.
Everybody always happy when they get a trophy. Of course, Clint McMahan, no stranger to autocross in these very cars. Back to you guys.
Well, you can hone your craft, that's for sure. And like we said, if you can autocross, you can road race. It teaches you line recognition and car placement. And Thompson almost placed his car in a rather untenable spot right there, recognized it right at the end, and just dipped out of it a little bit. And LUTEREK, as you would expect, Jeff, is going to defend fairly furiously here.
He is, and this will be a battle now. You see Thompson was running a little bit quicker, got onto the back bumper about a half-second quicker than he was against LUTEREK, and now the battle's on trying there. And as they start battling side by side, you see Vries starting to come up there and battle too as well. Like I said it before, the battle for podium here in F500 is far from over. Second, third, fourth, all on your screen.
Yeah, but as these guys intensify their fight, the battle for the gold might well be over, as MCMAHAN has opened that margin up now a sizable chunk, pushing 5 seconds, and it all happened in the last 2 laps when these guys were scrapping. And you saw the attack by Thompson, lost that little bit of momentum, and Vries going to try and get down the inside. And Vries showing, I think, a lot of racing smarts right there, knowing I wasn't quite there. I could try and stuff it down to the apex. We could touch, and even if we didn't, I was going to be slow out of one and lose whatever I've been able to generate here. Ooh, LUTEREK running way wide and could not get over in time to defend, and through goes Thompson. Look at Vries trying to sweep the outside, Jeff.
And he'll get a braking zone down here to the inside if he can get it done. He does not, but LUTEREK trying to go back to the inside as Thompson runs a little wide. He's taking that traditional arc, making it a single apex, where the 2 drivers behind him doing the double apex through turn number 6 onto the straightaway here. Let's see if Vries has anything power-wise or the draft-wise. Far from over here as a defense to the inside.
Oh, and LUTEREK got a tremendous run out of 6A, and that allowed him, but he had to really get on the binders to make the turn into 7. And now Thompson going to attack, and Vries once again, I think he's, oh, nice move by Thompson, established to the inside. And LUTEREK just said, okay, I'm just going to run a little wide of the apex here. And that worked. He carried some great speed through 10.
He did, and that really hurt Thompson as Vries going to try to go and see if he can make the pass through turn number 12 here, hard onto the braking zone. He's going to have it done. You can't do the over-under here. You got that bump, so you can't really get back to the power fast enough to swing back around the driver that just passed you.
And again, and that time it's Vries has the back end step out big time. That's a momentum killer. And can Thompson do anything with it? I think he had to check up a little bit too, or he'd have got into the back of him. And that's what LUTEREK needed, because those 2 guys were showing some really good speed. I love that bob and weave. When you got a lot of these guys that are in a train, which often happens in this racing, it's really fun to watch. Looks like a big snake coming down the straight.
Yeah, it really does. And you wonder if the guy in front's blocking. He's just not. He's just trying to break that draft, mess up the air for the car behind him to not get that tow. He got through turn 1, turn through, and turn 3 very well. You see Stephen Thompson locking those brakes up once again, and the car steps out. Quick recovery, though, to minimize the loss.
Yeah, one thing you better have if you're going to be a front runner and a championship contender in this class is what they call quick hands.
Back and forth and quick, and you see them fighting this wheel all the time. I just wish a lot more of these folks driving these F500 cars would wear some day-glow yellow or orange gloves so we could really see how much they fight this battle.
Oh, I think I'm absolutely with you on that. Just watching them work it in the cockpit is just absolutely intense. And what's going to get intense in this battle here, there's a clump of cars that they're coming up on here, Jeff. They're going to run into some traffic in a hurry.
And where you catch that traffic will determine how well you can get through it. If you catch it in the corner and get hung up, you can lose 3 or 4. You see LUTEREK just using every inch he could on the lap traffic. Did not want to lose any momentum whatsoever coming on out of turn number 11.
Yeah, the guy in that lap car may have been spooked, but LUTEREK did that with purpose, as you said, not to mess with the guy, but to not lose any momentum here. And still in all, Vries, LUTEREK got way crossed up on those curbs. Vries got the run. He is going to nose around the outside. Let's see what LUTEREK has in terms of straight line. And now Vries has to figure out a way to defend on the toe here. And he goes way down to the inside. LUTEREK pops to the outside, and it's still a drag race here. And there's more traffic ahead. See LUTEREK look over his shoulder. Where was that car? Can I do anything here? And realized, and that lap car got in way deep. LUTEREK had committed to the outside. It's going to lose a ton of momentum and then spins right in front of Thompson. Whoa.
Yeah, it was just a matter of you get debris and dirt on your tires, you hit back to that asphalt, you might have the wheels turn just a little bit in these little 80-inch, and unfortunately these cars, I don't believe any of them have those onboard starters, so if you stall it, you're done. As you see, he just got a little too deep in there with that lap car, tried to stay on it, and once you get over that bump and it unloads the car, and Thompson did a great job trying to avoid him.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? And you're absolutely right. Just that little bump when he hit the backside of that curb, coming back onto the track, snapped it around, and he is parked, no fire in that engine, and you can imagine he is just disconsolate because he was in a battle for a national championship.
Is that Calvin?
It is. Something wrong with the 07 of Calvin Stewart. That's the Novacar Blade machine. Something has gone awry. He's just pointing everybody by. That's a tough break. But Sven de Vries, absolutely, I think, the story of this race. I mean, obviously, Wiley McMahan up by 6.5+ seconds, so you got to give it to him. But Sven de Vries, just really a remarkable story here. Started 11th, now runs in 2nd. This is a big story developing here for the young man from Amsterdam.
Well, he was second quicker the previous lap was de Vries than your leader. We'll see what he is at the line here with that passing back and forth. I'm not sure that he's going to go any quicker, and sure enough, he was almost a second slower that previous time. So yellow flag as you see de Vries kind of pointing him back by, saying, okay, well, I got to fall back in here, so let's stay line to stern. And that is for LUTEREK's car parked there on the inside. Safety crews are on scene getting that car removed.
And you can see that Thompson briefly got hung up behind one of the lap cars, that black machine, and he had nothing he could do. And the black car understood it. As soon as they cleared traffic, he made sure he was out of the way and let Thompson just flow through. So this battle for that silver and bronze not yet settled. Ellis right now has not been able to run with this duo here battling for second and third, Jeff. He's dropped back now almost 15, 16 seconds behind these two. So McMahan has the big lead, 7.5 seconds right now. This is the battle on track. Who's going to get which medal is really what it's for.
It is, and Thompson closes that gap a little bit. It was a relative big gap back forth, a little over a second. Now he's closing back in, so we'll see. 4 laps to go. It'll be 3 when they come back by, and you can see the front wheels on that number 37 just back and forth, fighting for grip, trying to get the acceleration down as quick as you can.
And you can see, I mean, these chassis are relatively, some may like them really stiff with those pucks and the like, and others like it with a little bit, be able to get some roll, to get some plant, but it certainly looks like the issue that Thompson's having right now is locking up that inside tire, which just doesn't give you as effective braking.
And then it also helps you, hurts you on the straightaways. You get some massive vibrations as they go through.
Is that Ellis?
Looks like Ellis still dropping some wheels off. So.
That was a move.
Jeff Jorgensen.
Yeah, able to, apparently they got into a side-by-side, and Ellis ending up getting the worst of that. Jorgensen had started 4th and dropped way back in the order, and now looks like he was able to reclaim the 4th spot, so good run for him. I'm going to point out, starting in 6th, the number 4 of Thomas Dame, running now, is able to work his way back up into 6th. He slipped back a little bit too in his number 4 Dame Dimensions Nova Blade entry. He had one of those moments that Wiley had here, spun on the pace lap at Mid-Ohio, dropped way back in the order to 14th, came back for a bronze medal. So these guys, they can get the job done.
And you see Jorgensen there, the number 64.
This is his 12th start at the runoffs. Another driver who's twice been on the podium but never been able to work that gold. And look now, Thompson all over de Vries. And there was, I think that lap car may have blunted Thompson's attempt to get underneath in turn 7. So he had to stay a little bit tighter in. Couldn't get the swing he wanted, but he's got speed again, doesn't he?
He sure does. He's really recovered there. I'm not sure if he's going quicker, de Vries is going slower. Trying to work that draft down here in turn number 12. 3 to go. It'll be 2 to go at the line when they come down. Thompson to the outside. De Vries protecting that inside line. You got to be careful over that bump and transition there. Is Thompson going to try to stick it down to the inside here? Does want to be, I don't know why he's so desperate to get around. Oh, the car off to the side there. You got to be careful as it comes back on track right in front of our second and third place car.
Yeah, they did a nice job, recognized it, and just opened the wheel up a little bit on the run through turn 14 up onto the banking here. That last lap, but I think it was traffic induced. De Vries running a 150.1, Thompson a 149. This time De Vries right down into the 145s again, running quicker than your race leader. But that little bit of traffic and that caution, McMahan's lead now, Jeff, up to 12.5 seconds.
Yeah, and That's a huge gap when you have a lead, and he's still lapping in that 1:45-second break. So bracket, so no harm there. As you see, Thompson just locking up those front tires again, doing everything he can to try to stay on this back bumper of Vries and try to make a pass. Now, we saw this in the F5 cars that we haven't seen all day. They were able to draft and get that pass completed before the start-finish line.
Yeah, if you're close and these cars can draft so strongly, it can make a big difference. And keep in mind, next time MCMAHAN comes by start-finish, he should be getting the white flag and starting our final lap, which means these guys have basically a lap and a half to sort this battle out as well. And Vries, just that little bit of lockup for Thompson, and it gave Vries just enough room here. It's about 10 lengths for these cars that he's got right now. But boy, Thompson, just look at him flow and throw that thing around. Just these beautiful little slides.
Hasn't used any of it up apparently, because he's still going by pretty fast on the lap times. Coming up into that braking zone, turn number 12. You want to stay off that curb, turn down, let it float out to the left, but get back to the right as quick as you can for the left-hander here, turn 13. And it is a white flag. WILEY, Clinton, MCMAHAN getting the white flag. 1 to go.
1 to go, and here comes this battle, and Vries able to open up the biggest margin he's had for just a little bit here on that run up to this final lap as they get underway here. Again, well behind MCMAHAN at this stage. These two guys, a great battle, and they too have a fair amount of margin back to Jorgensen in fourth, but number 4, Diem, is closing on Jorgensen in a hurry, and Mueller's not that far adrift of them either, so tremendous battle for the 4th spot as well behind these two.
Everybody wants to get one better position. It does not matter where it is.
Absolutely.
As Thompson locks up there in turn number 4, comes to the little kink here in 5, into turn number 6. Vries giving himself a little bit of room there for that 2nd place. Thompson's still in that podium spot, so you got that balance of, do I go up there and battle for 2nd, make a move, and possibly lose that podium position, or just stay where I'm at?
Boy, and Vries just flowed some speed around that lap car. And look at Thompson drafting off that car just for the little bit. He will do anything he conceivably can here to carry some speed. But Vries, the way he went around that lap car, Jeff, he flowed so much speed, it gave him another few car lengths.
Yeah, just able to pull that gap is, I don't think Thompson's going to have anything for Vries unless he makes a mistake down here in those couple of trances here. So WILEY coming through,
here
turn number 13.
So close, Jeff. 2 times he has been a silver medalist here. He's wanted this for so long. Onto the front straight, and it's going to happen. WILEY, Clinton MCMAHAN, gold medalist in Formula 500. And he does it in Indianapolis. Look at that, the fist pump. He is beyond elated right now. The battle for 2nd at the line. It's Vries hanging on and getting a silver medal over last year's national champion, Stephen Thompson. Oh, look at this, a big scrum. Cars everywhere. That's the 64 of Jorgensen. And is that the 4 of Diem?
Yeah, they're both off there on
oh,
the track.
my goodness. So this 4th place could change absolutely here. Mueller, does he get it? Mueller gets it just. Yep, that was Thomas. It wasn't Thomas Diem who went off with Jorgensen. It was a lap car. So Mueller ends up in 4th, and Diem had to check up. Mueller got the run and snuck by him in the last corner for 4th. Diem ends up in 5th. Such is the way things can change and swing here in Formula 500. Wow.
Never truly over till it's over. You go till the end. Let's see if we can take a look here. That looks like a lap car there.
Yep.
And I believe, oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like, unfortunately, it looked like Jorgensen just sort of followed him off there, and then trying to get back on as quick as he can, just lost the front and got hit there and spun around.
Oh, man. The slings and arrows of racing fortunes. Obviously just exceptional here. And what a run, though, for WILEY MCMAHAN. Like I said, he's twice been the silver medalist. He's always fast. I mean, he really puts it together. You always see him qualifying well, races well. Hasn't always had the absolute best of luck, but he sure did today.
He absolutely did, and it'll be interesting to find out what happened on that pace lap to see what put him back into the field there. and caused that problem, but he was able to recover great and really moved his march to the field. I think he started back in 6th or 8th.
Yeah,
and
it was
got
8th, I
himself
think.
back up to that front of the field.
Well, he was second by the exit of turn 2 after being 8th. And, you know, we didn't see it. Our speculation is he may have just had a quick spin on the pace lap. It happens. These cars, cold tires, you're really trying to build some heat, and you're snapping them back and forth. And like I said, when they go like a top. And I'm guessing that's what happened. Don't know for sure. Oh, and he misread the signal, and they're saying, nope, you got to continue on, man. You got to go up to where the gold medalists play. And now he is going to do just that. Great story for Sven de Vries. And runs out of the Southeast Division as part of that team we were talking about. We had the great interview from Satellite Racing, and a good story for him. Want to say a big thanks to Scott Conway, who not only has done a great job providing prep book and information that we use, but also has been sitting at home watching our coverage and shooting his notes every once in a while. So Scott, brilliant job again by you, my friend. Really, really appreciate it. And look at that. For Clint, the gloves are coming off. Helmet's coming off, and Hayward is standing by.
I gotta get something to drink first, man.
Oh, he's definitely hurting.
Got a water? Anybody got a water?
He worked hard, no question. These cars for
Absolutely,
19 laps around this place.
Yeah, you're fighting it, you're battling it, you're moving back and forth. It's hot. You don't have a lot of aero in there.
Was that a sick joke? They gave him a bottle of water to match the size of the car?
Oh, that's terrible. Terrible. Nice there with the blower, getting some cold air on that. Get that going.
Yeah, great job, and well earned. He's been after this for a while.
Thank you, sir.
And obviously, you work awfully hard in these cars, and they pound you a little bit as well. He's just trying to get a little bit of fluid in him. Let's get down to Hayward. Well, I'll tell you, this is an idea, Hayward, of how hard these guys work.
Clint McMahon, a long time coming. Is this joy or relief?
Oh, it's both. It's both. We worked really, really hard. It was a tough week. You know, we just tried to perfect every single session that we had. And, you know, through last year's season's experience that I received, you know, that was my compliments of the F600 Challenge and Metalloy Corporation. They gave me the opportunity to go into the Road of Indy, and I used all the information that I had there. I used resources that I had from that place here. You know, John Block, Kelly Jones, those guys, they really helped me out in being what they call inch perfect. And I know that I'm going to hear about my lap times falling off halfway through that, but I was just want to get through that race.
Well, you made it through the race. You almost didn't make it through the pace lap, though.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid on my part. You know, we always warm the tires up on the pace lap like that, and I don't know what happened. That corner's been pretty consistent to be able to do that. For whatever reason, I got over in some slick stuff and just stomped on the gas, and it spun out. But, you know, nevertheless, we were able to work through that, get back to the front, and move on.
Well, I know Jim Murphy's about to jump out of his skin over here. You got a victory lap to take. Anybody you need to thank before you go?
Oh, yeah, there's two people that's always been there. My dad and Jim Murphy. You know, those guys have always been there for me and got me here. There's other people that's been able to help me along the way, like Metalloid, Fred Edwards, Tom Edwards, you know, but those guys have always been there. I'd like to thank my crew members, Bob Clay and Stacy, you know, for getting me here.
Well, congratulations one more time around the track.
Yeah, and this is that special one, the Lap of Honor, and they're going to hand him, there's the medal that's going to go around his neck. This one is gold, and you could hear the emotion in his voice, Jeff. When you've chased it for a long time and you've come so close to finally get it, and especially after having that problem on the pace lap and spinning and dropping back and thinking, oh, no, not again, to be able to come back and do it as we take a look here at our provisional Formula 500 results. That's remarkable. Same story. I can't wait to hear from Sven de Vries. What a great story he has been here. And for our defending champion, another medal, not a bad day, especially fighting all of that lockup for Stephen Thompson. And then just some great running there as well. Mueller, a former double champion, up in the fourth. Deem coming up, and then the last lap being able to sneak back into the fifth spot. Just some absolutely great running, obviously, and what a joy to be able to call this race here. And I've been fortunate to announce Clint for a long time and to see him get gold, but I tell you, I think maybe the story of the race, other than Clint, is Mr. de Vries.
Sven de Vries, you might be the story of this race. Clint kind of got a chance to check out after the first turn, but you really had to fight through.
Yeah, that was an awesome race. We knew we had a task at hand coming from 11th place, but I know I had a good car. Was able to consistently do those laps and an awesome race with all of these guys. Close, fair, hard racing, just the way I enjoy it. But this is amazing. This is expecting everything I was hoping for.
We talked a little bit with the beginning with one of your team members about your background and coming up through video game and simulator racing. How does that prepare you for a race like this?
Pretty well. Yeah, it's obviously it's a little bit different, but it gives me a chance to get to know the track very well. So right off the bat, I can usually put in some good lap times. So, but I owe it all to that guy standing over there, Matt Strand, Satellite Racing. He's the one that gave me a shot to do the real cars 2 years ago, and took off from there. And this is just amazing to finish second at the runoffs against all these national champions, race winners. It's amazing.
Congratulations to you on the silver.
Thank you.
Yeah, incredible drive. And I mean, considering he came from 11th and had to not just keep it on the track, and there was some moments there in the opening laps where it was a bit chaotic, and then to be able to just hunker down and put the laps in here, couldn't quite match this guy, but gave it a heck of a run.
He did, and moved from that simulator racing to real racing here in his first race, getting a second place finish, sort of the best of the rest. Nothing to shy at.
No, absolutely not. Just an incredible drive. And, of course, now your defending champion ends up with another medal. And he seemed to be having a little bit of a problem either with brakes or just lockup in general, but a great drive, Hayward.
It was a great drive. It looked like at the very end you were starting to have some issues with the car. Was it going away from you a little bit?
Car started to go away just a little bit. I might have locked up a couple of times, flat spotted the right front pretty bad. Probably flat spotted the left front and the two rears as well. We were trying pretty hard, but there was only so much you could do.
That's what we call a match set, right?
Yeah, no, it was good. When they got in phase, it jumped off the ground a little bit. It was nice.
So a bronze medal here, a gold last year, but another podium at the runoffs. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you very much. Want to make sure to thank my wife. Thank Ted Johnston, Mike Hintz, Brian Brothers, Randy Smith, and all the Waterford crew.
Congratulations to you. Hey, Greg, we've been watching Clint for a lot of years, and I just wanted to say before we go away, not only congratulations to him, but that is the calmest I have ever seen Clint McMahan in my entire life. That tells you how exhausting that drive must have been. Yeah, I think it was a combination. You're absolutely right, Hayward. I think it was exhaustion combined with emotion. And it just, that'll just park you. And when that emotional release, when that happens, it can just take it out of you. It's a special moment, but boy, it can zap you.
You really can. And you take some look at the highlights here in F5. Cars all over the place. 6, 7, 8 wide down the front stretch here. Down in that tight turn number 1. Early battling along with Calvin Stewart and Sven de Vries. You see the Thompson and LUTEREK there with the problems he had a little later on.
Yep, just some furious action. Here's what you were talking about for LUTEREK. Looked like he might have been able to at least hang on. And then the snap spin. Thompson, brilliant avoidance there. And it was just that kind of a race. We had attrition, as often happens. Calvin Stewart into the pits. But for Clint McMahan, he finally gets the gold medal. And then this moment for Jorgensen, who'd worked so hard to be up into a shot at the top 5. That's just how things fold. So it's going to wrap up our coverage of Formula 500 here at the 54th running of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs. And it also wraps up my contribution to the event here, and just wanted to say a special thanks. Certainly, big thanks to all of my fellow announcers. Jeff, always a pleasure to work with you. We do it so often. Rick Benjamin, Dorsey Schrader, and of course Hayward Wagner down in pit lane, just doing yeoman work. I also wanted to say just a huge thank you to all of the SCCA members who helped make this really an exceptional event. Thanks to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Talk about a superb host. Absolutely delightful. Massive thanks to the entire Apex broadcast crew. Been here for days doing setup, then staffing cameras and control room for long, long, long days. And most of all, a huge thank you to the head of Apex broadcast, Clark Cameron, who is truly a jack of all trades. And what makes it special, he's a master of all trades as well. He makes this all run so smoothly. Folks, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to being back with you hopefully next year. We've got Rick and Dorsey coming up for our next couple of races. And Jeff, you're back for the last one of the day. So take care, everybody. Coverage of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs is presented by Mazda. Driving matters.
Every stitch is a part of me. All these shapes and designs express our devotion to craftsmanship. I want people to feel our passion when they touch it and when they drive it.
the all-new Mazda CX-5. Can you feel something without touching it? See something with your eyes closed. When everything is designed around you, the driver, you can. The Mazda 3.